Hi, my name is William Pittenger again, and I'm reading from the Constitution of the United States. Its only keepers the people, as said by George Washington. I'm reading Amendment 5 and Amendment 10. Amendment 5. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia when in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any other criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Amendment 10. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. First thing I want to talk about is Amendment 10. Now, the power to try people for crimes is reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Hence you have the people versus so-and-so, such and such. Unless it is a federal offense and a federal crime, then it is something that is reserved to the states or the individual state. So once a state tries somebody in their own state for a crime that is committed in their own state and has either found guilt or innocence, then the federal government has nothing to say about it, which means the White House, Congress at a federal level, or the Supreme Court has anything to say about it at that point. Okay. Also, another thing in Amendment 5 is that nobody should be tried for a capital or infamous crime unless by presentment or indictment of a grand jury, and that no person should be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. Now that is an imperative. It said, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. In other words, this is law, and these are imperatives, which means they must be followed. In the case of the people versus Darren Wilson in Ferguson, Missouri, understand here that the entire proceeding was by the book, by Amendment 5, and by Amendment 10. There was a grand jury. The testimony and evidence was viewed by the grand jury, and they could not present an indictment because of video and eyewitness testimonies stating what happened between Mr. Brown and Mr. Wilson. And also, you will take notice, if you look it up, you can find the autopsy report on Mr. Brown, and it shows that the police officer did everything in his power to not kill him. He aimed bullets specifically for the purposes of disabling him. It was not any intention of his to kill Mr. Brown. And the only reason that he killed him was because he dove at him in an act of defiance. Under that light, he is innocent of the charges. Now, in spite of this fact, he chose not to accept the $87,000 separation compensation, and he resigned from his duties as a police officer, which presents another problem. He had just gotten married a month prior to that, and now he's going to need a job. Okay, now, under all of this light that I have just shed on this, President Obama, Eric Holder, and characters such as Al Sharpton, Eric Dyson, Jesse Jackson, and other people who are using media as well as personal appearances to incite riots on behalf of the Browns and the Brown family. And the Brown family, by the way, has requested that the rioting stop. And Mr. Brown, as a matter of fact, made a tearful plea that these riots stop, that this was not the way. But these people continue to do so. First of all, the federal government has nothing to do with this. President Obama has no right to intervene in the affairs of the state when the state has already looked at the evidence and provided its judgment. Also, Eric Holder, who should very well know the Constitution, particularly Amendment 5 and Amendment 10, he should know that once a state has made its determination, once there has been a grand jury that has made a decision either to indict or not to indict, that federal powers have no authority to reopen a case and put the same person for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. These other characters, such as Eric Dyson, Al Sharpton, and Jesse Jackson, using their media positions as a pulpit, and perhaps even Rachel Maddow, whom I have not heard from as yet. I'm not even looking for her, but I'm assuming that she has something to do with it too, using her media desk as a pulpit for inciting riots on behalf of the Brown family and Mr. Brown. These people have no right to reopen the case, retry the person for what he was found innocent of, and they have no right going all across the country of the United States inciting riots on behalf of this man, who, first of all, stole a box of cigars from a store, second of all, assaulted the officer in an attempt to take his gun, and third of all, made a defiant dive at the officer in an attempt to either do some serious bodily harm or kill him. If this is a plea after a moment of silence, because this blows my mind. I'm having a hard time grappling with the actions of these people who are inciting these riots, and with Obama and Mr. Holder. They are violating the Constitution that they are sworn to uphold. And personally, whether anybody else hears this or not, I'm making a plea to President Obama and to Eric Holder, Al Sharpton, Eric Dyson, Rachel Maddow, and Jesse Jackson to stop violating the Constitution and stop breaking the U.S. Code, where it states that you may not use your free speech to incite riots. Thank you.